Hey everybody, and welcome back to Pixelated Geek's E3 2015 coverage. We are about 15 minutes away from Sony's E3 presentation, and so we're just here with a quick rundown of what we're expecting to see. So Sony, pie charts, sales numbers, we're going to see a lot of those. But the console itself, Sony has a couple of irons in the fire right now. Probably the biggest one is the Project Morpheus, their VR project, which is going to be compatible with both the PS4 as well as PC. There have been leaked photos of a Move controller that is going to be associated with that, since I think a lot of the VR companies are starting to recognize that the idea of mouse and keyboard in VR is kind of challenging to deal with, because you lose your place in it. So that's a no-brainer. What else do we think we're going to see?
Mentioned God of War, like an HD remake.
Right. Another HD collection of God of War. Another one, because we need another HD collection. We're going to see the Uncharted HD collection, without question. That's something that's already out there in the ether, and so that's a big deal. We're definitely going to see Uncharted 4. We're almost certainly going to see No Man's Sky, since that's one of those indie developers that latched on to Sony, as well as the PC area, but for some reason they've had this allegiance to Sony.
Well, Sony pulled them out when they were studio flooded.
That's right. That's what it was. And so we'll almost certainly see that. In addition to that, I think we'll probably see another Little Big Planet teased, since that's one of their hardcore franchises.
Like Killzone with a fake gameplay.
That looks like 80 times better than it. See, the funny thing about Killzone, though, is their proof of concept trailers are always crazy, but when the game comes out, it still looks better than almost anything else that's around it. Those are the kind of teases where I'm like, all right, you'll get away.
How much Vita support do you think we're going to get this year?
Yeah, okay, that was something
I think it's either going to be they're like, guys, please buy it, or kind of like the Kinect this year, which was nothing.
I think it's gonna be nothing, because the Vita is much like the PSP at its time. It's a piece of technology that is very impressive in terms of what it can achieve, but because it has a higher price point, and because of the kind of people that buy handhelds, there's not a lot of market penetration, and as a consequence, there aren't a lot of developers who really want to commit to it. I had a Vita for a couple of months, and I liked using it as a PS3 controller. That's pretty much what I did with it. And as I understand it right now, the most compelling reason to have a Vita is the ability to stream your PS4 games to the Vita. Now, that's not nothing, but that's not really a reason to have a console. And there aren't really any major Vita releases as it stands right now. I am tentatively excited about this, just because I am always in the mood for more Nathan Drake, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a ton of Nathan Drake. With regard to other major Sony exclusives, I would be very surprised if they didn't announce a legit God of War for the PS4. I would be very surprised if we didn't see that. There's also likely to be a Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter. There's a very good possibility we'll see those. Those are some of the Sony franchises I'm not necessarily super interested in.
Think about a new Infamous, maybe?
Yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, those are huge. They sell really well. We haven't heard anything from that developer in a while, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. But the thing with Sony this year is this year has to be about introducing new IPs and reinvigorating older IPs, because Microsoft did a hell of a job with bringing back backwards compatibility, with touching on older franchises / publishers. It really is Sony's show to lose. They have so much momentum from the last couple of shows, but we've just not heard anything out of them.
And they're lucky because they are coming at a later slot. So just like most years, if Microsoft or Nintendo or somebody else says something that they realize the fans aren't liking, they have X amount of hours to correct any,
we have seen Sony knock that shit out of the park.
So
that is something that they have historically done, and I have always thought it is incredibly wise of them to take one of the latest slots, because what do we have tomorrow? We have Square Enix, who's just not a heavy hitter. We have PC, who's like a total dark horse, and also not really a direct competitor to the console gamers. And then what's the other one?
Nintendo, right?
Nintendo, right, who, again, is not a direct competitor to the big ones. So Sony has the advantage of being in the best slot, like they always are. They have the chance to regather right before the conference. And I think what I'm hoping is that we don't see a lot of third-party stuff, because I'm tired of that. We have third-party conferences for a reason.
I'm also tired of not in-engine gameplay.
Yeah.
If it's another Ubisoft conference, I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's late in the day. It's 6 p.m. there. It's 9 p.m. here.
And we've been doing this for...
Right.
And if it's just pie charts, I'm also going to take a nap.
Yeah.
Because
I'm really fine with them doing the pie charts for about like 2.5 to 5 minutes in the middle of the conference as a pee break, as we mentioned earlier. That's a great time for that. But yeah, so I'm going to need me some Uncharted.
What do I think about Destiny?
I wouldn't actually be surprised if we did see some stuff from Destiny.
It's third party. It might just be like, hey, keep an eye out for this new content coming forward or something.
Well, Activision doesn't have a conference this year.
And there was no...
And Activision... So, Destiny is, like, attached at the hip to Sony. Like, they've gotten exclusive content. They've got timed exclusivity on content. We've heard nothing from Destiny so far, so that's a really, really good
And nothing about Call of Duty.
Yeah, again, I don't know.
I think if Call of Duty was going to come out, we would have seen
something at Microsoft. Yeah,
no, that's why I was surprised. So I'm wondering, is the new deal been made with Sony, or is it just not going to be a
new Call of Duty only at the Nintendo conference?
I was wondering why I was like less irritated this year. And I think it's a lack of an Activision conference that just occurred to me. Now, granted, I mean, there's no way it would have been worse than Ubisoft.
It would have been lots of like dubstep.
I'm betting we're going to get more like Disney.
Explosion.
What is Disney's?
Infinity?
Yeah, because of Star Wars 1.
Sure.
So.
Well, we would if we had an Activision conference, which we aren't. So
no, that's Skylanders. So
yeah.
Disney's on its own, and they partnered with Sony last year for the Marvel.
It doesn't matter what they show Star Wars related. It's not going to be Battlefront.
That's the thing, and that I think it might actually be a good idea to just not market that because that game is going to sell like a motherfucker.
It probably already is.
Oh yeah.
And you don't need to compete. So Sony, right here at 9 p.m. We are going to see you guys shortly.
6-7 minutes. Yeah.
Thanks so much. See you after the show.